So Overwatch just released the new prop hunt game mode Mischief and Magic, and it is really fun. It is honestly my favorite game mode that they've added in Overwatch 2. Maybe even better than the event game modes from Overwatch 1. It is just that fun. And one aspect of it that I thought was really interesting was the meta of playing the game mode. And I don't mean like super try-hard meta or anything. I more so mean the dominant strategies that occurred and were used throughout the first day that the game came out. Since it was very cool because it was just a natural advancement of strategies. You would see someone be doing something cool and you'd say, oh, I'm going to do that in my next game. And then you do it in your next game, then someone else sees you doing it and they're like, oh, that's cool, that's smart, I'm going to do that in my next game. And then these different techniques just naturally spread throughout the communities, and I saw a lot of them take place in different games. Something that I never saw before, and I started to do in my games, I would later, a few games after, see someone else be doing it as well, and it was very cool to see. So I just want to run through just how these different strategies developed and which ones were dominant throughout the first day the event came out. Now, when the event first came out, the dominant strategy for hiders was to get as high as possible. People do not look up at all in Overwatch, so all you really had to do was wall climb, jump, and then stick yourself somewhere really high up, and usually you'd go completely unnoticed for the entire round. However, as more people started using this for hiding, people quickly learned to look up and check these very hidden locations, which there are quite a few of, and soon they were basically useless, as most hunters would know, or at least someone on the hunter's team would know to go and check these locations. And after this, the game mode kind of became very hunter-sided, and I still think it is. The taunt voice lines make it very easy for them to pin down a player and just kind of all collapse on top of them. And meanwhile, the prop is very hard to get away if you're being hunted. I have seen it happen, but very rarely do they actually manage to get away to a new hiding spot, because the one ability you have that gives you movement also gives you a random prop, so you could be trying to hide and you just turn into a giant shark and you have absolutely no chance of blending in anywhere. So with the voice lines making it very easy for the hunters to hunt down the hiders, a new strategy developed where hiders would camp near the hunters spawn. This really only worked if the hunters had the spawn at the entrance of Blizzard World, just because it's so far away from the center point of the map. But the strategy was that at the start of the game, you'd camp somewhere nearby the hunter spawn, since at the start of the game you don't taunt for a while, so you'd basically hang out there, and then once all of the hunters have headed towards the main part of the map, you'd simply go inside the hunter spawn and then hide inside there. And again, this mainly only worked for the entrance spawn if the hunters got that. This is because by the time it starts doing the voice lines that make it very easy for the hunters to find the hiders, if you're in the hunter spawn, you are at the furthest possible distance. In order for them to even hear your voice lines, they need to be actively going back to check their own spawn. And because of this, you can usually go undetected the entire round. Most all of the hider wins that I saw after this point were from hiders that have gotten into the hunter spawn, specifically when the hunter spawn was in the entrance of the park, or even just staying in the entrance of the park and somehow managing to not get detected. All of the hunters will usually gather around the area in the center of the park where the point is, so even if the hunters spawned on that side, if you're able to get around undetected and eventually sneak into the spawn at the entrance, you can usually hide there pretty well. And then of course this led to a strategy I saw a lot of the time from the hunter team, which is that in order to prevent a hider from sneaking into the spawn at the entrance, they would actually leave a hunter in spawn to keep an eye out. So they'd have one less hunter on the front line on the center of the map, and instead they'd leave someone close to spawn so that if anyone was nearby spawn, they would start to hear the voice lines and could alert the rest of their team, or just hunt them down themselves. And then that's where the meta was for a while, until something really stupid was found. Why hide when you can murder? Yeah, the props are able to quick melee, and if you are able to stun a hunter, you can potentially melee them to death. Now that you can't really do this alone, if you try and stun a hunter and then start punching them to death, just mugging them, you can get about 5 punches off, which is 150 damage, which is not enough to kill them, and then they can just insta-kill you with a melee, or chase you down and swift strike you afterwards. So in order to successfully kill an enemy hunter, you need to have another hider with you that can gang up on them with you. You just have to group up and mug someone together and you'd be able to kill a hunter. And you might think that this is absolutely broken, and in a lot of cases it is, but the problem comes in with just how strong the hunters are. If you have 2 people trying to melee a hunter to death, it will take about 4 seconds for them to get the job done. If at any point during those 4 seconds, another hunter who is nearby, who can clearly see that their teammate is being stunned through a wall and hear the sound effect, it's a very obvious sound effect to hear. If they're able to get close, they can just swift strike the hunter that the hiders are trying to mug, and just kill both hiders instantly. Swift Strike has a massive hitbox, and in order to quick melee someone, you have to be really close to them. So this in turn led to a strategy that, mainly if you were duoed with someone, but you could also just follow a random around, is for hunters to use the buddy system. I have one clip here where I literally just used my own teammate as bait and tell them to go in. They get stunned, I dash through, and I kill both the attackers. So even with the fact that the hiders can murder the hunters, there's still counterplay, and it's just really cool that there's this kind of strength in numbers that the hiders have, but the hunters can buddy up to protect each other, but that also means that they can't go around the map as efficiently. They can't all split up, or else they risk being jumped. It is a very cool dynamic that I actually really liked. Sure, it doesn't feel that fun when you get gangbanged into oblivion, but that just means that you can do it on your own hider round. Because the hider round is what's really fun about the game mode. Hunter is fine as well, but it's really hiding where the game mode shines with how many unique strategies and positions you're able to get yourself into. Next, where I saw the hiding meta go after this was, instead of hiding as high up as possible, you hide as low as possible. If you jump off the map over the death plane and you wall climb, you can stick yourself basically right above the death plane off the side of the map. Assuming that you're near a wall climbable surface, you can just wall climb for a second and then freeze yourself. It's pretty tricky to pull off, it'll usually result in death, and once you're there, you are stuck. You cannot move, you cannot do anything. If you unstick yourself, you get plummeted straight into the abyss and die. It is a commitment to try and get into one of these spots. And so far, day one, this is the latest strategy that I've seen employed. I feel like where the meta could maybe go afterwards is some kind of teamwork between hiders, where one of them goes off the side of the map and another one hides up high nearby. And then if a hunter were to try to jump off the side of the map in order to kill the hider that's off the edge of the map, the other hider could flash them and cause them to just fall into the abyss and die. Otherwise, hiding off the edge of the map can sometimes just result in forcing a hunter to trade their own life to kill you, because it can be very tricky to get the kill off a target that's that close to the death barrier. And that's all the development that I've really seen happen playing basically all the time first day. All of these new strategies just kept it really fresh, and a lot of them are map specific. I really think that you have a great game mode if you just take this and make it permanent. Just add in other maps. People can find new stupid stuff to do. Each map will have their own hiding spots. Just make it a permanent game mode, please. It is one of the best game modes that have been introduced to Overwatch. And despite all of the new things hiders are able to do, it still feels like it's heavily sided towards the hunters. The fact that they can instant kill you just makes them very hard to play against, especially when they just start getting rapid fire notifications on exactly what direction you're in every like 5 seconds towards the end of the game. But all of these stupid things just make it very fun to play as the hider, even though you're not super likely to win. So yeah, I'll probably talk about the game mode as a whole more in the future, but I just want to talk about how strategies have developed, because that has been by far the best part about playing this game mode day one. So yeah, until next time, see ya.